listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
All right, folks, I just want to announce that I'm getting ready for hibernation stage. I have decided to pull out the big socks now because I don't, you know how, I mean, everyone's got their own peculiar things, but for some reason, when it gets cold out, I can't walk around my house in regular socks. It doesn't feel right. Like the socks you put inside shoes. I need to have big socks that are special big socks, like fully fleece or some weird thing you get in a package of 3 at Winners, you know, those ones. And
do you ever get the ones that have like grippy bottoms or slipper kind of bottoms?
I don't mind those, but they tend to make me feel like I'm in the hospital. Because that's the last time I was in the hospital, they gave me those socks, and now they make me, it's weird. It's like a little ping. Oh, you remember that?
It's because you were doing that Tom Cruise slide too much.
Yeah,
They're like, you gotta stop this. Your legs are broken. You can't do this anymore.
You cannot do the slide with the sticky socks. Also, I don't feel I'm in danger of falling as much as obviously in the hospital you are. So I don't really feel like I need the sticky treads. But I just wondered if this is one of those things, you know how like if you have a therapist and you say, everyone thinks this way, and the therapist goes, no, they do not. So I was just wondering.
Has that happened to you?
Do you think big socks are a pathology?
I'm just saying, hypothetically.
I busted out my turtleneck sweater today for the first time. And I am also getting ready for winter. I am winterizing. I have been wearing my slippers nonstop, and I'm kind of like, normally I'm like not into wearing pants at home. Like I will take off my pants as soon as I get home if I'm wearing pants or tights or whatever. And lately I've been like looking for some home lounge pants to hang out in. So that's how I know it's winter. Like it's colder and I'm covering up my bits.
For Vancouverites, as Vancouverites, have you had that moment of rage yet when you need your good umbrella and you can't find it and you rage around your house trying to searching for it, and it's like you're late for something? I always the beginning of every winter I have that thing where it's like I have one umbrella that I really like. It's the right size. It works well. Like that's the one I want. And I've thrown it somewhere carelessly in the spring, and now I have no idea where it is.
And yesterday, for those people who live in Vancouver, it was a real awakening to what's about to happen.
Yeah.
It really got cold and it really rained. It was.
Yeah, it was chilly and raining.
Yeah, it was very Vancouver. And I just thought, okay, this is it. And now I think it's in 2 weeks, daylight savings then.
Oh.
So
yeah, it's probably by the time this comes out, it's probably like a week away.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll be dark at 5:00.
I put in a special umbrella station by my door because
Smart.
I otherwise can't find my umbrella. It's literally what gets to be here? Umbrellas, a shoehorn. Then there's another station that is my sunglasses, sanitizer, glasses cleaner, hand cream.
Wow.
I need it to all be organized together. Otherwise I will leave something.
Wow, that's very organized.
That's very smart. I'm
well,
a bit jealous of.
I don't know. I feel like I got a pandemic lobotomy. So this is what I got to do now. I have to have too many things now when I leave the house. You know what I mean? So I gotta, and I change purses. I think this is part of the problem.
Yeah.
If you're a one purse girly, you probably don't do that. You probably don't leave your stuff behind as much.
You've entered your tote bag era, Cynara.
That's true. I have. Yeah. Did you observe that?
Yes. I know, like you just enter a phase where like you need to bring lots of stuff everywhere. And it's easier just to have like a tote bag and a separate purse almost that you can, because your tote bag just has all the stuff in it and you can change your purse out.
And then you also, if you have a big tote bag, you can slip your jacket into it if you like don't want to be wearing your jacket indoors. That's also my problem, is like keeping a regulated temperature between the inside and outside. Like,
Yes.
once I'm inside, I need it all gone. But sometimes you can't do that if you're like in a store.
Really?
You can't just throw
You
your
can't
stuff
just take off all your
everywhere.
clothes.
You just
and
can't take off all your clothes?
free balling through the.
I mean, I feel like it depends. Like, I'm not shopping a lot in South Granville, so maybe there you can take off all your clothes.
Can you imagine? South Granville.
Yeah,
is
like in the
place that we can
fancier
really be
stores.
free. Yeah, yeah. They definitely are totally fine with just seeing some like pubic mounds everywhere.
They just hand you one of those like valet stands, and they're like, "Here you go." Just neatly put your clothes. A side note, why don't they have those in the doctor's office? I don't like that I have to try to fit all my things on a chair when I have to get naked.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think there should be a nice little valet stand there for me.
Like a hook and stuff. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's true.
No, that would be great. I also find like, especially when you have to get like fully naked.
Yeah. And it's like cold out, so you have like a scarf, a hat, like you have lots of stuff with you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I'd rather get fully naked than the half naked. I feel so strange just sitting in a doctor's office without pants. It is a very, like, I've got a shirt on, but I have no pants. Like, where do you do this? Where is this a place where you do that? You don't. So at least with the whole naked thing, there's some kind of, like, it feels like some order is being observed.
I always like to have a hat on. I just think it's fun. It makes me feel like I'm in the full Monty or something. I'm like, that's the last thing I'm going to like dance around with. Last time I got a pap, they wanted me to keep my shoes on, so I had to put surgical booties on over my cowboy boots, which I thought
I remember you telling me.
Very funny.
Incredible.
So, yeah.
Why did they want you to keep your shoes on?
I don't know.
That is a bizarre request. Like,
It is.
Do you think that like just that particular doctor maybe doesn't like feet?
I think it's the crumbling infrastructure of St. Paul's Hospital. Like, it's actually unsafe to be shoeless.
Oh, you know what?
Maybe.
Good point.
That's my guess, because they did make me change. It was like an outpatient clinic they had popped up. And whenever you hear about like a pop-up clinic for an invasive procedure, it's not the best feeling.
You're right.
And then they made me change in a room next to like old printers from the 80s.
Whoa.
You're just like the dot matrix going off while you're
Oh,
doing
yeah.
it.
It's like, don't just ignore those lamps and put on the surgical gown.
I had a doctor that had all of her travel postcards on the ceiling, so that when you laid back and looked up, you would see all of her travels. And I guess the idea is that it was a conversation starter. So it was like, oh, you were in India or whatever, like she was expecting you to say. But yeah, it was a nice touch.
That's like forcing someone to look at slides a little bit.
Yeah.
That's an abuse of power, I would say.
Yeah.
But she'd add them as she went. So, you know, the ceiling would get fuller.
So you were really following her journey, Lisa. Mm-hmm. And as someone, you yourself have a lot of wanderlust. Probably
it was
felt like a bonding moment.
It was. Oh, that doctor. I don't know where she is now. Well, she retired. There you go.
She retired, but she's probably on a round the world cruise.
Oh no, she's not hurting.
Just
I'm sure.
Collecting
Have you
exactly.
heard about those? Like, have you heard about those cruises that they're going to last like 3 years? Like,
no.
Like you just you basically are renting an apartment on this cruise boat, which is, and it's like some people calculated it to be less expensive than renting an apartment in whatever expensive city that they live in.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And, basically retirees are booking these rooms because, like, selling their homes instead, moving permanently onto a cruise boat because they have
so they're putting themselves out to sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they have they get food, they meet
Yeah.
people, there's activities. Like,
And they've always got doctors
much better idea
available.
than a home. I mean, do they
Yeah,
have like
yeah, that's-
medical
absolutely.
facilities and stuff? Is that the point too?
that's
Is it
basically
It
there's
feels like
doctors
a
and-
trap to me. It feels very like a 3-hour tour. Like it feels very Gilligan's Island. Like sure, it's 3 years. Sure it is.
Well, that's like, I don't like cruise ships. I've only been on one once for a 24-hour repositioning cruise. Theoretically, it was already my nightmare. Being on it, confirmed, it's just not a travel style for me. I could never, the idea of committing 3 years of your life to being on a vessel with a constant rotation of just cruise people, my God, what a nightmare for me.
I wonder about the staff rotation too. Like I always think of the part of Bossy Pants where she's like on a cruise ship. The entertainers also have to be the first responders. So like the guy who was just juggling is now like putting out the fire on the ship. So it's like, are the lounge singers also like the housekeeper? Like how does this work from a business model? I'm very curious. Like
Can you bring pets? Because I would want, is it going to just be insane with all those little dogs?
Can your pet do CPR?
I could train them. Sure.
Do you and Rudy have some kind of sideshow you could entertain the guests?
Right? Wouldn't that be great? I love that. Yeah.
If they're going to do 3 years, they probably eventually would get therapy dogs. But I can see them being confined to the ship.
But like, how old are these people? Because 3 years is not. Are you meant to die on this, or have another plan?
Like
or have a plan
Ark,
after, or
y'all.
something?
Like,
No,
it's giving Bible.
There's no age. There's no age. Any age can do it, but it just typically people who are retired because they're not working
have to
anyways.
go to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because they're also retired from land.
I would assume they get off occasionally, but
and they can enjoy the lawless waters.
Yeah.
So many cool murders at sea. There's no good pivot from that, but I do feel like
kind of like when Taylor Swift dove under the stage.
I mean,
thank you.
I mean, at what point are we going to have Taylor Swift branded cruises going around the world?
I've always wanted. There's a metal cruise every year, so I've always wanted to go on it.
It'll be soon for sure. Once she has such a good age range of fans right now. Give them another 5 to 10 years. Because like those 90s cruises are big money makers from what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Taylor Swift, we've got the Eras Tour as a concert film. Will we have the Eras Tour as a luxury cruise option?
Yeah.
Only the future.
Where her music is playing over the speakers. Only this movie is showing on the movie screens.
Wow. That's a scene. Yeah.
This sounds like a punishment, and yet for many it would be what a wild, wonderful time. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
I'm Cynara Geissler.
Yay! Cynara's back! And you're listening to Pop This. And yeah, we're so excited to have Cynara Geissler return. We just make you keep coming back.
Well, I have been living in your spare room this whole time. So it wasn't really hard. Like, once you're on Pop This enough times, you live at Andrea's. A lot of people don't know that, Andrea Warner's, but that is part of how they get you to come back.
We opened the trundle bed in my grandma's room. And so
I thought you had bunk beds.
Nope, it's a trundle. It really is a trundle. It can go from 2 twins to a king. But the king is, I think you gotta have known each other a while before you start going from trundle to king. And yes, you heard it. We're talking about Taylor Swift, the Eras concert film.
The highest grossing concert film of all time.
Yeah, I mean, truly, I've never seen a concert film like this.
That's just the concert.
Just a concert.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean
It also
that was
has-
pretty amazing. Just the concert. You sat down, concert started, you left, concert ended.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I've got to say though, I am mightily impressed by the fact that this was a concert film. This was filmed in August, and we are now watching it in October.
Yeah, the
Oh,
turnaround's
yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
Like that's amazing to me. Like it was just like
Also,
here's part of my cunning plan to take over the world. Here we go. You know?
it is incredible. It's also the first, I have to say, film where I've ever gotten an email about how to behave before I went to it, which I thought was fascinating. Like Cineplex, I don't know if they only sent it to people who were going in the early opening days, but I got an email being like, I know you're really excited, but listen, don't block the fire exits. Like it had all this like information about how to behave at the movies. And I was like, I would like this email actually for every movie, not just this
Wow.
one, because I do feel like we all need to learn how to behave in public again. Brief side note.
Agreed.
Remember when we went to go see Little Shop of Horrors and behind us people were
Yes.
in real time live explaining the musical to each other
Yes.
audibly?
Yeah.
So
A physical musical theater experience. People were literally explaining the musical to each other behind us.
like a commentary track. It
Like
was
it-
wild.
Wow.
And
We let it go
anyway,
on for a long time until finally, like, Cynara, I think you effectively shut it down.
I said at this level of volume, could you knock it off?
Wow.
Or tone it down. Maybe I said something like that and they were like, oh no. Like it kind of made them realize they weren't in their living room and they were
It was
in a
honestly
theater?
shocking behavior in a theater.
I find
anyway.
I find at least one person in every movie theater is scrolling on their phone for various parts of any movie I'm seeing.
Yeah, like Carlos hates that, and he always asks the people to put their phones away and stuff. And I am so convinced that one day the wrong person's just going to turn around and shank him. Like, I always get like a bit nervous about that, but I am grateful he does it because I find it extremely distracting. I will say that when the theater we were in, it wasn't that full or anything, and so we didn't really have a sense of like a ton of people behind us or anything, and no one was on either side of us and no one was in front of us, so we were not subject to any phones out at all, which
Yeah, I
was
didn't
really
see any phones. And also about the email, we had when in the theater I was at, there was an announcement made at the beginning
oh wow
where like the usher came out and said, "Hey everyone, really excited to have you here. We really encourage you to dance up at the front of the screen. You can dance as much as you want. Just don't block the exits or the stairs, and have a wonderful time and all these girls were dancing down at the stage, and it was so
oh
fantastic.
that's so
Cute.
nice.
It was lovely. That was my favorite part. I mean, really, just seeing these girls dancing. You know, they were like right around like sort of 10, 12 years old. Oh my gosh, they were just having the best time.
That's
so
very
cute.
Yeah.
I want dancing at mine now, and I
Yeah.
didn't get it.
I had
Really?
lots of dancing.
Oh,
No.
I chair danced.
Yeah, I mean, we all chair danced, but there was no one like up front dancing.
I went to the drive-in to see it, and
That's
Oh.
cool.
How was
it was
that?
like the best of both worlds because like people who wanted a viewing experience could just stay in their cars and watch it quietly like a movie, and then all the people who wanted to dance, like the little kids, all ran to the front of the drive-in right on the grassy part, and there's like just this like crowd of little girls there dancing. It was so cute.
Oh,
A
that's
movie with the
nice.
mosh pit is like a very cute idea. I've
Mhm.
like seen it. I remember during the Queen movie, like the bio.
Oh, the
is it a
Bohemian Rhapsody?
biopic?
Yeah.
Yes,
but-
Bohemian Rhapsody. I
Yeah.
don't think it's a great movie, but there was like a woman who really came to party at my screening, and
Wow.
she was like in a fur coat and like standing up and like clapping not on time and stuff like that. And I don't think it was super appreciated by the other audience members. That
Nope.
really wasn't like the vibe of it.
Yeah.
But I liked it because I thought it was more entertaining than the film, unfortunately. I was like,
Yeah.
her experience of the film is now my film. So
Yeah.
That's nice.
I like it.
Yeah. I'm glad that worked for you.
But-
we should read your bio, Cynara.
Oh,
and then do
sure.
a little background and synopsis stuff for housekeeping. And then let's like really dig into it. I will read your bio. Cynara Geissler is a chronically ill writer, performer, editor, and book publishing professional who invented hashtag toddler grandma style and loves to talk about pop culture, fat liberation, feminism, and feelings. She has appeared on our podcast numerous times, including Poltergeist, Cruel Intentions, White Lotus, Lula Rich, and Kanto, and our Christmas Childhood Specials episode. Welcome back. Lovely to have you. Great to see your face. Thank you.
Like I said, I've never left, but I do like that you're acknowledging me again.
Yeah.
It's nice.
She just shows up to every podcast taping. Sometimes we listen, sometimes it's blocked. I mean,
Yeah, I just am like, I'm like that character from Scream. Like, I'm just lurking.
Yeah, Adabs, you don't know this, but we usually see her in the background of your shot on the
That's fair.
when we
That's
record.
fair.
Yeah, we don't want to scare you, though, so we don't say anything.
No, it's good. And I also I think it's like really cool, Cynara, that like, you know, you choose when you want to be mic'd, and then other times you're just like really content to just like let your energy infuse a moment.
I was really inspired by Parasite, and that's how I live now. So
That's amazing.
yeah, it's a hashtag lifestyle. So
It's weird because like Andrea Warner was talking about her phobia of people living in secret hiding spaces in her living space just last week. It's
And
just,
I-
it's weird when she talked about having mice, and then I knew it was like crumbs that I had left. But I kept it together.
See what happens when you put something out in the universe? You do not know how it's going to come back to you.
yeah.
AG, do you want to read some background? You probably don't have to read the whole background, but if you want to read some of it.
Sure. Taylor Swift The Eras Tour is a 2023 American concert film produced by singer-songwriter Taylor Swift. Directed by Sam Wrench, the film documents the Eras Tour, Swift's 2023-2024 concert tour in support of her discography. Swift struck an unprecedented distribution agreement with AMC Theaters and Cinemark Theaters for the film after negotiations with the major film studios fell through. Filming occurred in August 2023 at 3 shows at the Sophie Stadium in Inglewood, California, on a budget of $10 to $20 million, with the SAG-AFTRA permitting the production to proceed amidst its 2023 strike. Swift announced the Eras Tour later that month, catching studios and exhibitors off guard and causing several films that had been set for release on or near October 13th to move their release dates. Wow. The unconventional release strategy was the topic of media discourse, with many journalists and industry personnel praising Swift's move to bypass the studios and directly partner with theaters. That's from Wikipedia.
13 is
Wow.
her favorite number.
Yeah.
I do know that. And I do know that the director of like the new Exorcist movie was like, oh my gosh, like you don't get to release a horror movie on Friday the 13th, like all the time, like only every 7 years or however the calendar works, that you could do it in October.
Yeah.
And he was pretty bummed when she was like, it's like too late to move it. It was like, okay, well.
Just as well, because this
there
movie
goes
didn't do
that
well,
for
though.
for the Exorcist 25 or like whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Lisa, do you want to read the synopsis?
Well, yeah, sure. Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour. It just sounds funny to give the synopsis of a concert film, but I will.
I know.
Yes, Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour is a cinematic rendering of the Eras Tour, the 6th headlining concert tour by American singer-songwriter Taylor Swift, representing Swift's discography conceptually in 10 different acts. It depicts performances of all of the songs on the tour's standard set list, except those of Wildest Dreams from 2014, The Archer from 2019, Invisible String Cardigan, and 'Tis the Damn Season 2020, and includes Our Song 2006 and You're on Your Own Kid from 2022 as the surprise songs. The closing credits features Long Live Taylor's version from 2023. So I know all of that stuff is probably very niche for all of the people who went to the Eras Tour, because there were certain songs that didn't make it, because then the concert would have been over 3 hours, I'm sure, right?
Yeah. I really loved that You're on Your Own Kid song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a
I
good
don't
song.
think
Yeah.
I don't think I was that familiar with it before.
I've never heard it
seeing
before.
in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I wasn't familiar with like half these films, because I gotta say, I'm not really a Swiftie. I like her, and I have come to appreciate her significantly over the years. But I think the Swiftiest part of me is my love for that very long song that's like 10 minutes long that came out last year. I can't remember the name of it. And she did it in the show, and I love it, and it's incredible. And then Blank Space.
It's All Too Well.
Oh, It's All Too Well. Thank you. Yeah.
The song that's about Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
Yes, I know
that's the
much.
important part to know. Yeah.
The scarf.
But
The lore.
It's that line in the long version about how you kept me like a secret and I kept you like an oath or something. I'm paraphrasing, but that line crushes me every time, and I'm just like, how dare you be so good with your turns of phrase sometimes, Taylor Swift? How dare you?
She's a great American poet.
Well, that's where you really feel her country roots, because that's the really great thing about country music lyrics. They always have that turn of phrase, and you can really feel it with her.
And it gets to be all about feelings and like, emotional. Like, that's where cowboys get to have feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
Country music.
Yeah.
So the country roots really show. She loves to write love songs, but also like complicated love stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like, well, we'll get into it. But like, Cynara, do you think of yourself as a Swiftie?
Like maybe a late in life Swiftie a little bit. Like I wasn't on the ride the full time. I think I was a fan of songs that got to me. Like I've always liked Mean, her song about like how people are mean to her. Why you gotta be so mean? I'm like, it's great. That's fun. And I love Trouble from Red, the Red era. Like, yeah. But then I think 1989 for me was the one where I was like, oh, like I'm staying on the bus too long so I can keep I'm so into listening to this, because it's just like such a pure, excellent like hit parade of a pop album. So after that, I kind of got more interested. And I gotta say, after seeing this film, I was like, I need to give Reputation like a second whirl, because I really enjoyed that era, particularly on the stage.
Yeah. Lisa, what about you? Swiftie?
No, it sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like you have to become obsessive, know the track lists, when they came out, who they're about. Like, I don't have time. It just feels like a lot of effort. So I would say always an appreciator, always an admirer. I always have so much room for people with work ethic that I don't have. So I'm just so impressed with her. I feel like a mom. I'm like, honey, take a break.
Yeah. AG, are you a Swiftie? No.
Like I'm not a Swiftie, but I do find myself like really, I'm so blown away by like her business acumen. And of course the music is it's just like part of the culture, right? So like, I know all the music, but also this idea that she is like, I guess it's like I hate this word, but disrupting industries, like re-recording all of her albums so she can regain like ownership over her music. Like that's to me so incredible. And then like disrupting like the studios by distributing her or making a deal directly with theaters for distribution. Like those are like huge game-changing business deals that she's doing, and I just like I can't help but admire that. So in as much as that, like I guess maybe I'm a tiny baby Swiftie. I don't know.
I think there's something extremely impressive about, and I think of in the same way that like I think probably like I'm a tiny bit like, I think like I'm such a Swiftie appreciator, I do have so much admiration for and just the ways that she really has done things by her own decree. Like does not seem to sort of follow any super specific model that does not serve her.
Well, it's like who other than I guess like Elton John has done like a tour where it's like, here is 17 years of my music for 3 hours. Like it's very impressive, right? To just say like, yeah, I'm doing it all, less one album. So it's like 9 albums out of 10. Like that's, I don't know. There's a real confidence and a real like bravery kind of bravado in doing that when you're like not even 35 years old. Right. Like
when I heard her say
like,
that, and,
essentially it's like a retrospective of her career, but she's still very young, you know?
Well, that's what I was wondering. Is she planning like some sort of, Bilbo Baggins just going to disappear all of a sudden? Like, I've accomplished everything I need to. I'm out. Like
she's gonna ascend into her final form, which is like the Taylor Zilla that we see in Anti-Hero.
It's like, where does she go from here, though? I mean, I'd like to think she goes, and I mean, we all had downtime during the pandemic, and she used hers effectively, we know. But, I'd like to think she might take a little time. But then again, she's touring all next year, right? She's doing South America, and So, yeah.
Yeah, she'll tour on this for years as well she should, really, right? For the like scale of production that it is. Like I think I read, and I haven't fact checked this, but like the stage alone costs like $150 million. Like it's the level of investment that has been put into this and planning. Also, did you know it's choreographed by Mandy Moore, not the singer, but like of So You Think You Can Dance fame? One of my favorite choreographers.
Wow.
Like just really good people working on this, right? Like,
and I thought the choreography was quite good, and I loved how much like representation there was in her dancers.
Mm-hmm. Like that one dancer, we all know which one.
Yeah, of course. My favorite thick boy. But there was also like there was other body diversity. There was like gender diversity. There was like sort of gender non-conforming diversity.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just really appreciated how many different types of folks were like up there performing with her. And the other thing that I kind of like I don't want to sound like I'm just like full on part of the Swiftie cult yet, but like there's something about, I think there's something like incredibly wonderful because this concert is like super, super, like it costs so much money and you have to be extremely privileged to attend it. And like, obviously it's just part of late stage capitalism, but in making a concert film and making it accessible to everyone for $20 and really like reducing the barrier to be able to sort of participate. I know she's making hands over fists full of cash about it, but like it's just not something that a lot of other artists do. And I feel there's something really really wonderful about making your extremely special concert available to wider audiences who might otherwise never be able to access going in person.
And one aspect I'm very obsessed with is the staging and how there are rewards for you, even if you're in like the nosebleeds. Like you're in the floor seat, you're not going to see the moment when the stage turns into a guitar through projection, right? And you're not going to see during Delicate when on the beat drops, she stomps and the floor is cracking underneath her. Like these are things that you're going to see from higher seats. And I think that's so interesting. Like, of course, if you're on the floor, you're having that floor experience and you don't necessarily need that extra visual. But I love the idea that it's like, it's also got, bonuses for the cheap seats. Like you're not losing out on the experience. Like it's really thought out as a stadium show. Like, especially too with the giant like HD projections of her that are probably better quality than seeing her in front of you. Like it's so,
for sure.
like it's so interesting to me, like that the level of production put into it. And then again, like I saw her on the 1989 tour at Rogers Arena, my least favorite musical venue to go to.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, honestly. It was like mostly, she's just so for the girlies. So that's who's there. It's like mothers and daughters and aunts. And like nobody's spilling a dirty beer on you. Like everybody's just having a great time. And Taylor Swift is like talking to you. Like she's so good. I think it might have been Christy Lemire for Roger Ebert who says like she's so good at making you feel like you're in her inner circle and you're
Yeah.
like one of her pals, and that's like one of her special talents. So there was a moment where she was like, listen, everyone, you're texting someone and they're not texting you back. That's not cool. You don't deserve that. Like, she gave this little speech about like, don't let people ghost you. And like, you deserve to have like friends and people in your life who are like excited to hear from you. And I was like, this is very surprisingly tender. Like, everyone was kind of like, oh, thanks, Taylor. You're a good friend. And we were given like bracelets at that show too, which also lit up at different parts of the show. So it was this really cool collective experience of you're part of the show because you've got this bracelet that's programmed to light up at a certain time. And we also saw this in this film too, where during You Need to Calm Down, which is like the LGBTQA anthem, if you looked at the audience, the different sections were rainbow.
Yeah.
So like, and it's because of the bracelets. So just like, I think she is so good at this, so good at thinking about like, what are the things that I can do to make people feel really a part of the art that I'm making. And like, it feels organic with her, right? It doesn't feel forced. And like, that's how the bracelets have become a thing. It's because it's like a gimmick that she's used that has repeated and evolved into like the bracelets with the different eras that people trade, right?
And that's
cool. Fun.
And that's like, I mean, all the stuff we're talking about is like completely aside from the fact that like her primary job is singer-songwriter.
Right.
And like you look at all the eras and the different types of genres of music that she can write hit songs in. Like, who else can do that? Like span multi-genres like country, pop, like and folk. Like her indie albums that came out were rather surprising in how good they are. She is at writing like kind of folksy songs.
Yeah, like, did we expect her to perform with Bon Iver? Probably not.
Yeah,
but
like,
she did.
But you know what?
Right?
I think that there's something also about Taylor Swift that as much as she is as famous as she is and as beautiful as she is, there is something sort of kind of innocent and a little bit literal in those songs. And I think that's what makes them so magnetic for everyone. It's just that her sitting down, I'm sorry, it just gives me a chuckle. I'm going to do a folk album and then braiding her hair and wearing big sweaters and going out into the woods. It's just so obvious. Like, I mean, we all know folk artists. They don't do that, right? They're just, that's not their primary objective.
She likes British guys, and she truly was trying to live her like promenading in the Victorian kind of wood countryside fantasy.
Sure.
Like, that's what was going on. It was like her Mr. Darcy time. So she did that and explored that, and hashtag good for her.
Oh my God, Mr. Darcy time. That is basically what she described as like.
She's talked about it. Also, I heard someone talk about her songs as having like, it's like they're written by different pens, which I thought was really, it might have been the folks in Switched on Pop, but it's like, there's the quill pen Taylor Swift songs. There's the glitter pen Taylor Swift songs. And then there's the gel pen Taylor Swift songs.
Yeah.
And when you say it, it does make sense in a weird way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she really is interesting because she's an artist who has controlled her own narrative to the point where she doesn't owe anyone a certain version of herself. And that's really cool. Like, I thought, how amazing that she's done this whole giant tour and she hasn't had to grant a single interview to mainstream media because she's created this parasocial relationship with her fans where she doesn't need to. And I think I am interested in that because like even up to 5 years ago, it's like any profile of a woman artist was about like what salad she was eating and what,
or what their
dress
body
she was
looked
wearing
like, or
and
like,
how her boobs move or don't move during the conversation. Like, so sick of that. And it's really interesting to me that, she gets to like market her music how she wants. And I mean, the main way she wants to market her music is like low-key mysteries that she creates for her fans. I don't participate in that part, but like, I don't know, like it's like, get out your decoder rings, Taylor Swift's like I kind of think it's cute. I find it wholesome.
People are I saw online today that people are expecting a song from her in the next few days.
Oh yeah. People have like put together all kinds of like, I don't do that myself, but I do love like reading the like really galaxy brain level stuff that people do. Like it sort of feels like she's become like, it's kind of like how Shakespeare is a field of study, and you can be like a specialist in mice in Shakespeare. Like I feel like that's where she's headed with the level of output she has. Like you can be an expert on like the use of the word baby in Taylor Swift's song, you just like discography, you know what I mean? Like it does on some level the ambition, like it impresses me.
Well,
and there's something so cool about, like a woman being like, actually, I'm going to re-record all my music. Actually, I'm going to distribute this myself. I don't need any of these malevolent parts of the industry that we hear so much about. Like I was thinking about that. We hear so much about how artists are controlled by labels, how they don't get creative input. I'm also thinking about this because I'm listening to Britney's memoir right now.
My
and
God,
so
yeah.
it is just so interesting to think about the sort of path that she's forged, because like that was a decision where she was like, oh, I can re-record all my music. And so I will. And also, just deciding like after 2019 or whatever it was, like, actually, I don't need to talk to the New York Times if I don't want to. And so I won't.
Well, that was one of the big things that people were talking about with this movie, is that it needed no marketing budget. It didn't do any advertising, and how like she is this kind of singular artist who can produce a movie that doesn't need to be advertised. She just needs to hit social media and she'll make $100 million in like the first week her movie comes out.
I was thinking too about like, even though of course there hasn't been a direct interview with Taylor about this, I loved Taffy Brodesser-Akner's profile of like the concert.
Yeah.
It's so good. And the thing that I thought was she's so good at capturing is just this idea that like, this is really a tour that's like all of your eras as a girl matter and are worth memorializing and presenting and celebrating. And so your silliest self and your most heartbroken self and your sluttiest self. And that's another thing I love is Taylor Swift is a clown. I don't think we talk about that enough, but like people love to diss her by being like, oh, she'd rather use her body for screwball comedy was one of the things than like totemism. And I'm like, yeah, and I love that. Have you ever seen the video for Delicate where she just pulls faces in a mirror for a while? She's like looking in a mirror. And I'm like, there's something about this woman who embodies like Miss Americana, this like blonde, tall, model-like woman. And then when she does a chair dance, it's the least sexual thing you've ever seen.
That's
like, to
the
me,
thing. That's so funny.
That's a way
She's
in.
not really sexy. It is
that's
an
a way
interesting
in
thing.
for me, a person who also doesn't identify with that. Like I'm not saying that Taylor Swift is like our ace queen or anything, but
no.
I think there's this room for humor there. Like she doesn't self-deprecate, but she also is very like pulling a face and like she's not too self-serious. And that's like a very interesting part of her pop stardom for me, is that she kind of knows that she's not like a Janet Jackson or a Britney. And so, she has these great dancers who are doing the heavy lifting. And then when she's dancing, she's like working her moves that she has, like strutting. Very good at strutting.
Yeah, she's very
excellent strutter. Excellent.
One of the things
strutter.
I laughed so hard though, like 4 different times in her songs, time is mentioned, and she taps on her wrist.
Toffee talks about that too, how like Taylor Swift is like the dancing where it's basically you're literally interpreting the lyrics, and it's like the kind of dancing you would only do with a group of girls when no men are watching. Is kind of how she talks about it.
Like the Spice Girls were like that. Remember the Spice Girls would always do that too. And I find kind of a Spice Girl energy to Taylor Swift shows.
We performed Anti-Hero in my choir, and then for like the tea time lyric, I would be a little teapot. Yeah. And I thought it was very funny every time. And I did receive feedback that it was. So, I just think for those of us that have a little clown inside, like Taylor Swift very clearly makes room for that. And I think that's endearing.
But also, what I was thinking about, like looking through her eras, is that like she starts off as a country singer with a guitar. And at some point in her eras, she has to decide, like, I'm a pop singer now and I have to do choreography and do a stage dance and like not and sing with like not a guitar. And like that's like a major move. Like, you know, there's artists like Beyonce who are like their talent is dancing. You know what I mean? And of course they're putting on amazing choreography and stage shows. But it's like Taylor made this decision at some point that she was like gonna dance and has like pretty much, I guess, created her own style of dancing. So
there's nothing like Taylor Swift at the front row of a award show. That's for sure.
Yeah. But but that's pretty. That's another bold move. You know what I mean? Just to be like, I'm going to get on stage and dance in front of hundreds of thousands of people. You know, like even though I'm not a dancer.
I love that at awards show she's like your most fun aunt.
Exactly. She's always at the front row.
But that's the thing, like that, and I think like that's one of the things I remember early on. People were being a little bit critical and making fun of her all the time about like her earnestness and her enthusiasm, and she's just never playing it cool. Because that's just not in her vocabulary. And I think there's something really wonderful about that and how she has grown to own that. And I think embracing that clown that you're talking about, Cynara, like just embracing sort of a slight gawkiness, a slight awkwardness, but also like the fun and the pleasure that goes along with that. And just like, I mean, it's one of the reasons that I love how, like, I think I cried a couple times, which kind of surprised me. But like one of the first moments I think that I got a little teary was just when she started off the show and she, you know, was saying like, what if we never apologize for like our past selves? And like, you know, kind of like I'm paraphrasing, but like, what if we just owned all the pieces of ourselves that like made us who we are? And like, you know, just didn't like, weren't embarrassed by them and just like appreciated them for like how they contributed to where we are now. And like, I think that's just such a lovely idea and such an important idea for especially like the age range of most of her fans. Cause like they're all trying to figure out who they are. We're all still trying to figure out who we are sometimes. And we kind of like have a lot of just a lot of like shame sometimes associated with like our past selves. And I really appreciate that she, you know, she's just like not participating in that. She's gonna like enthusiastically embrace all these aspects of herself.
And for such a long time, we have lived in this art and music monoculture. Like we've got much less of a monoculture now, but the monoculture a lot of us grew up in was like of Pitchfork, of Rolling Stone. Music critics were like cool guys, serious critics. And they were always making fun of the things teen girls liked, right? Like we know that teen girl buying power has fueled boy bands' careers and all of this. And it was maybe acknowledged, but it wasn't respected. And I think about that a lot. Like I remember mentioning liking female singer-songwriters like in my late teens and early 20s and people being like, I just don't like the sound of it when a woman sings. And sometimes it'd be like women who would say that, right? Sure. And so to admit that you liked something earnest was to sort of give up this idea that you had edge. And it was like you were saying you had immature taste. And I just love this idea that Taylor Swift is like, here I come in my literal princess dress. And I'm smiling and I'm skipping around and I'm laughing and I am committed to it. Like, it's just so fully for the girls. It really is. And it's such a celebration. And like, that is moving to me because I do think we are taught to be like, oh, I was so embarrassing. I liked Jewel so much. And it's like, why is that embarrassing? You know? Yeah. Like, why is it embarrassing to love Jewel when you're 12? I don't get it. But like, we were all sort of taught to think that way, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this, but does this movie pop?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Popping like a pop star.
I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like
7
I have to see it again, which is like weird for me, but
I want to see it again, too.
Yeah.
And it made me want to see the concert more, which is an unusual thing of like a film, I think.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it with like a sort of commentary track, like if it's the second time you're seeing it, so people can give you like the backgrounder information.
Oh yeah, that's nice. Oh
yeah, like pop-up video style.
Yeah.
I bet Taylor and the director will absolutely record a commentary track.
Oh yeah,
for release at some point for sure. We also love love to leave our episodes on something we recommend. Cynara, as our wonderful guest, would you like to go first?
Yeah, and I apologize if this has already been recommended, but I just watched I Have Nothing, which is Carolyn Taylor's show on Crave where she tries to realize her dream. Have you already talked about this?
Andrea yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can
I'm
also
glad
give a
you are.
different recommendation.
No, go
No,
ahead.
that's fine.
Yeah.
No, it's great. Yeah, so essentially
I love
she has a
it.
stand-up bit about wanting to, like, she's in her car, she hears Whitney Houston's I Have Nothing, and immediately she's imagining an Olympic-level pairs skate. And she acts it out on stage when she does stand-up, and it's incredible. And so this is, like, I think one of the greatest shows I've ever seen about the sort of gulf between the artistic imagining and then the executing of the thing that's in your head. Like, it's actually documenting that. And she's got, we have so many great figure skating stars who do cameos, like Kurt Browning. Never tired of seeing Kurt Browning, as it turns out. Love to check in with him. Mae Martin is a close friend of hers. Like, just what a delightful show that I didn't know I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And also Whitney Houston's I Have Nothing is having like an interesting cultural moment now because it was also one of Britney's like demo songs that she used a lot.
Wild.
So I Have Nothing. It's just in the culture right now. Enjoy it.
I love it when Whitney surrounds us in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, Whitney never leaves us, but
No,
it
I
is
know,
interesting, like which songs have kind of like little moments again.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Thank you so much. AG, what about you?
Cynara, you mentioned this earlier, but I wanted to recommend the Taffy Brodesser-Agner article in the New York Times about the Taylor Swift Eras Tour. It's called My Delirious Trip to the Heart of Swiftiedom. And it's a long read, but it's so worth it. And it kind of reflects on the fact that she couldn't get an interview with Taylor Swift and how it kind of just didn't mean anything to Taylor Swift to not be profiled in the New York Times, and like what that means. Like, is, she kind of existentially talks about what that means for her as a celebrity, a profiler of celebrities. But it's just a beautifully written story about her going to a Taylor Swift concert and observing everybody around her and just like the meaning that Taylor Swift has had in her life. And it's just beautifully written. And I highly recommend it.
Taffy rules.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. It is a great piece. I am 2/3 of the way through it right now. But I had to stop to record this episode. Lisa, how about you?
I'm very excited to have a season 3 of Lupin on Netflix. I don't know if anyone watched the first 2 seasons. Just about our, charming thief with a heart of gold, kind of a Robin Hood in Paris. And it's just been one of my favorite shows. And season 3 just came out last week, and I'm pretty much almost finished it. So if you like just, bank heists and jewel thievery and handsome men and costumes and secret hidden doors in antique shops, this is the show for you.
Wow. You've definitely hit on some of my interests. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm going to recommend, I know I'm really late to this party, but finally watched all 5 seasons of What We Do in the Shadows. And I love this series so much. I am so excited that it's already renewed for season 6. And I just, they keep finding new ways to surprise me. And it's weird and it's silly and it's kind of dumb sometimes, but it's so fun. And they just all seem like they're having a great time, and it really lets us have a great time to watch it. So I still haven't seen the movie. I still haven't seen the movie it's inspired by, but
it's a wonderful movie. Yeah,
that's what I've heard. Yeah,
I was gonna say Matt Berry, like people's sexiest man alive to me,
is a god. Did you watch Toast of London?
Oh yes, of course I did.
Yes.
Britain's
Yes.
second greatest high winds actor, Stephen
Yes.
Toast.
Stephen
No,
Toast.
Matt Berry is wonderful. I'm obsessed with him.
Yes, I can hear you, Clam Fandango.
He's so good. He's so good, and I love that he's like now doing commercials for Tylenol and stuff just in this Stephen Toast voice. Like, it's
Amazing.
incredible. Wow. An icon.
Mhm.
Love
Yeah.
it. Such a good show.
Cynara, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Do you want people to find you online, or would you like them to not perceive you?
I mean, the best place to find me is within your floorboards, as I've already explained.
Of course,
I am
yeah.
also online. Yes, so you can find me on Instagram at Cynara G, CYNARAGEE. And then I'm on TikTok too. I'm professional guest star on TikTok. If you wanted to see
Yay!
like middle-aged videos about outfits where I don't care about seeming cool. Does that sound like content you want? Check it out.
It is absolutely the content that I want. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us. I know we're not on there that often, but if you want to find us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, you can. You could also email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com. I also should give a quick shout out to a listener, Jennifer Breakspear. You came and said hello to me at the Jeremy Dutcher show. It was very nice that you came and said hello. Thank you so much. Jennifer is a real fan of the podcast, and it was just really lovely to meet you. And I hope you had a great time at the Jeremy Dutcher show. Thank you for coming to say hello.
What are the like Dutcher fans called? Are they Dutchies?
Like, pass the Dutchie on the left-hand
I
side.
like it.
I don't know. I feel like I'm a Dutchie. Like, I'm ready to go all in on Jeremy Dutcher. I'm just saying.
Oh, for sure. Jeremy
Yeah.
forever, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. We could be Dutchies. I don't know if there's a particular name.
They are
but
my least favorite Timbit, so I don't love that part.
but maybe this is we can take it back.
That's true.
But the old Dutch potato chip. So-
Oh yeah, I love
True.
those. Those are
Yeah.
quality.
Yeah.
Well, that said, thanks for listening, Jennifer, and over to you,
And
Lisa.
thank you for your sponsorship dollars, Old Dutch Canada? Question mark. The
We're always
favorite
here for
chip
you.
of Pop this.
Yeah, exactly. Those 2 bags of Ridgy chips, any party.
I feel like
Any
every time
party.
I come on the show, I swing big for like a sponsor for you. Just can't stop marketing. I gotta do it.
And our big thanks to Andrea Gin, who's our co-host and our producer, and we'll have an extra lot of fun editing this one. I can feel it.
Oh my God, there was so much good barking. Your dogs are Swifties. They had a lot to say.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks, everyone.